The moment Martell Holt opened his mouth and confessed about Melody, everything changed. It wasn't just another reality TV moment, it was the kind of raw, unfiltered truth that hits you in the gut. Fans expected drama, sure, but nobody expected Martell to let his guard down in a way that would not only shake Melody's world but completely humiliate Arionne Curry. And the fallout from that confession? It left Arionne furious, embarrassed, and questioning her entire place in Martell's life. For years, Arionne has been painted as the other woman, the one who came between a husband and wife. But when Martell confessed that Melody still lived in his heart, the world saw what many already suspected: Arionne wasn't the one who had his soul. And that realization broke her pride into pieces. This wasn't just gossip anymore. This was public humiliation, played out on television, with the whole world watching and judging. But let's rewind for a moment, because the story of how Arionne got here isn't just about scandal. It's about years of choices, sacrifices, and denial. It's about a woman who believed in a man who was never fully hers. And it's about what happens when the truth, no matter how long you try to hide it, finally comes to the surface. When Arionne Curry first stepped into Martell Holt's life, it wasn't supposed to be what it became. At least, that's how she tells it. A chance encounter, a spark, and suddenly she found herself pulled into the orbit of a married man whose charm and confidence were hard to resist. Martell knew exactly how to make a woman feel special, even when he was dividing his life between two households. Melody Sherry, Martell's wife at the time, was the picture of strength. She was building businesses, raising their children, and fighting to hold her marriage together. But behind closed doors, Martell was sneaking away, building a secret life with Arionne. It started as stolen moments, phone calls late at night, and whispered promises. For Arionne, those promises felt real. For Martell, they were just a way to keep her close. Over time, the affair became more than just an escape. Arionne gave birth to Martell's child, and suddenly, she wasn't just a side piece in whispers, she was a permanent part of his story. The relationship went from private to public scandal, especially once Melody discovered the full truth and filed for divorce. Fans of Love and Marriage, Huntsville watched in shock as the betrayal unfolded on screen, and Arionne was thrust into a spotlight she never wanted. She tried to fight back. She went live on Instagram, defending herself, telling her side of the story, painting herself as someone who had been manipulated. She wanted people to know she wasn't just a mistress, she was a woman who believed Martell would eventually choose her, love her openly, and build a life together. But as time passed, the cracks in that fantasy grew deeper. Because Martell never really let Melody go. The confession that set everything ablaze didn't come out of nowhere. The cameras caught Martell at one of his most vulnerable moments. He tried to present himself as a man moving on, talking about building a future with Arionne, maybe even marriage. But then came the slip, the raw honesty he couldn't hide. He admitted that every time he looked at his children, he thought of Melody. He admitted the pain of losing her still lingered. Those words hung heavy in the air. For the audience, it was a shocking glimpse into Martell's heart. For Melody, it was bittersweet confirmation of what she already knew, that she had been his anchor, his partner, his true love. But for Arionne? It was nothing short of devastating. Imagine devoting years of your life to a man. Carrying his child. Enduring public shame, being mocked and dragged across social media, all because you believed he loved you. And then, in one unguarded moment, he admits in front of the world that he's still haunted by his ex-wife. That's not just betrayal. That's humiliation on the deepest level. The internet exploded with reactions. Memes, jokes, and harsh commentary filled timelines. Fans labeled Arionne the placeholder, the woman Martell settled for when he lost the one he truly wanted. Even worse, people mocked her attempts to call herself wifey vibes, saying no caption or robe selfie could erase the fact that Martell still publicly longed for Melody. Arionne couldn't take it quietly. Behind closed doors, insiders say she was livid. She screamed, she cried, and she threatened to walk away from Martell for good. But those same insiders also admitted this wasn't the first time. Every time she thought she had him fully, something happened to remind her that Melody's shadow was still there. The emotional impact on Arionne is hard to ignore. She's not just fighting with the public, she's fighting with herself. Deep down, she knows what Martell's confession means. It means that no matter how many years she gives him, no matter how much loyalty she shows, she will never replace Melody in his heart. And that realization cuts deeper than any social media insult. Because while the world sees her as the mistress, she sees herself as a woman who gave up her pride, her peace, and her reputation for a man who still belongs to someone else in his soul. It's embarrassing, yes. But it's also heartbreaking. And that's the part people don't always see. For Martell, the confession was just another messy moment in a long line of contradictions. For Melody, it was proof that her strength in walking away was the right choice. But for Arionne, it was the collapse of the little hope she had been holding on to. The fallout continues. Arionne has been quieter online, her usual fiery posts and lives slowed down. Some say she's regrouping, trying to protect herself from more public ridicule. Others believe she's plotting her next move, maybe even considering cutting Martell off completely. But the truth is, people close to her know she's torn. Because leaving him means admitting that everything she fought for was built on lies. And staying means enduring more disrespect. It's a cycle that has drained her for years. The question everyone is asking now is simple: will Arionne finally wake up to the truth? Or will she continue standing in a position that leaves her angry, embarrassed, and unfulfilled? Because one thing is clear: Martell's heart still belongs to Melody. And no confession, no future plans, no attempts to rewrite history can hide that anymore. Arionne's fury is understandable. Her embarrassment is undeniable. But what happens next could define the rest of her story. Will she let this humiliation push her to finally choose herself? Or will she keep trying to prove to the world and to herself that she's more than just the woman Martell turned to after he lost his wife? Sometimes the hardest truth is the one you've known all along. And Arionne is finally being forced to face it. Because Martell may share his time, his words, and even his home. But his heart? That still belongs to Melody. And the world now knows it too. At the end of the day, Martell's confession didn't just shake up Melody's world, it exposed Arionne's deepest fear. She fought for years to be seen as the woman Martell truly wanted, but in one moment, he showed the world that Melody still lives in his heart. That's a wound that no Instagram post, no wifey vibes caption, and no amount of public defense can cover up. Fans are already asking the hard questions. How long will Arionne keep holding on to a man who continues to embarrass her? How many times will she accept being second, when she deserves to be first in her own story? The truth is, Arionne now stands at a crossroads. She can keep fighting a battle she will never win, or she can walk away and finally reclaim her pride, her peace, and her self-worth. Because no matter what Martell says, actions tell the real story. And his actions prove that Melody will always be the woman he regrets losing. So the choice is hers: keep living in the shadow of someone else's love, or step into the light of her own future. Arionne Curry's story is not just another reality TV scandal. It's a raw reminder of what happens when someone builds their life around a man who refuses to give them the love they deserve. For years, she believed in Martell's promises. She believed the whispers, the late-night calls, and the future he painted for her. But when Martell confessed that Melody still held his heart, everything came crashing down. That moment ripped away the illusion and exposed a truth Arionne could no longer deny. The internet may laugh, the fans may drag her, but beneath all the noise is a woman who has been left broken by her own choices. She gave Martell her time, her loyalty, and even bore his child, but in the end, she became the reminder that he never let go of Melody. That kind of pain doesn't just fade. It lingers, it haunts, and it forces you to face reality in the harshest way possible. Now, Arionne stands at the most important crossroads of her life. She can keep fighting for a man who will never love her the way she wants, or she can finally turn the page and choose herself. Because the truth is, Martell's actions have already written the story. Melody will forever be the love he lost, and Arionne will forever be the one who tried to fill a space that was never meant for her. So the question remains, will Arionne keep chasing a man who publicly embarrassed her, or will she rise from the ashes of this heartbreak and reclaim her dignity? Because in the end, Martell's heart may still belong to Melody, but Arionne still has the chance to give hers back to herself.